Hello, everyone. I'm Yvette Jet, and I am the strategic leadership coach. And I am so thrilled today because even before this started, I've had a great conversation, and you guys are going to get a piece of what I have been so blessed to be a part of. And I'm just excited. I really am. Dr. Sharon is here today, and she just has extensive knowledge and education in developing leaders and in vision. And one thing that drew me to her was that she has a magazine, and correct me if I'm wrong, Miss Sharon, is Vision and Purpose. With
Yes.
it being 2024, when I saw that, it just spoke to me. I said, vision and purpose. And I know it just didn't start like these last 5 days. So I'll let you get into that of why you started that magazine and what that means to you. So introduce yourself, tell the world about you.
Absolutely, Coach Vet Jet. First of all, I want to say thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for reaching out and having me a part of your platform. So I
Thank
really
you. My
appreciate it.
pleasure.
And I do not take it for granted. So thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
So, as you mentioned, I am Dr. Sharon H. Porter. Go by Dr. Sharon. Um, Educator at heart, first of all. I'm a career professional,
Mhm.
30 plus years as a public educator. I'm currently an elementary principal,
Mhm.
but I've served in so many different roles in public education. But this principalship is by far the most rewarding. Um, but in addition to my career, as you mentioned, I am editor in chief of Vision and Purpose Lifestyle magazine.
Mhm.
I also am a book publisher, CEO of Perfect Time SHP Publishing, and I also host several podcasts in a in studio recorded show that airs on Roku. So a very, very extremely busy individual, like most of us.
Oh my goodness, yes, you are. So let's go with the principle first. Let's start there.
Okay.
What made you go into and you said you're educated. How did you phrase it? You said you're a lifelong educator. What did you
I'm
say?
a lifelong educator. Yes, since fourth grade, that's when I knew I wanted to be a teacher.
Are you
Um,
serious?
fourth grade, and I absolutely to this day remember the day that in fourth grade that I said I wanted to be a teacher, and it was because of my fourth grade teacher.
Really?
Um, I felt she was awesome.
This is so
And I admired her so much that I looked up and said, I'm going to be a fourth grade teacher.
and that's what you did.
And that's what I did. And it's so ironic because when I student taught in fourth grade, and I was just so excited about that.
Really?
Yeah, and you mentioned the principalship. And so it really, I did not start in education wanting to be a principal. That was not part of my vision.
Okay.
I did enjoy teaching, but I'm an observer and I look around at things. And so I began to, first of all, I'm originally from North Carolina.
Okay.
And so after maybe 2 years teaching in North Carolina, I relocated to Maryland.
Okay.
And it was a very different landscape for me.
Mm.
North Carolina and Maryland was very different, at least the part of Maryland where I moved to.
Okay.
A predominantly Black community, which I was not used to
Okay.
coming from North Carolina. The specific space where I came, nothing but African Americans, affluent
Mm.
African Americans in top positions, and so I took note of that.
Okay.
And I began to, and I want to step back because it's so true that you have to see yourself
Mm. Yes, ma'am.
because like I said, I really didn't have those ambitions prior to coming to this area and seeing all of these affluent Black people
Yes,
doing
yes.
great things. And so, nevertheless, as a teacher, um, many people would come to our schools to do professional development, to do training, and I would listen as they would be introduced to all of these positions that they held
Okay.
prior to where they were. And it began to sit with me that, hey, I can do something else other
Mm.
than teach, because it did not dawn on me prior to that. And so I began on my pursuit. I started out elementary teaching, went to middle school, and then I started getting jobs in central office,
Wow.
and then in the area office. And that was in the area office is where principalship came to me.
Okay.
as an area instructional specialist, we oftentimes had to go in to be the principal. If there was, an extended time a principal was out, we would go in and sub for the principal.
Okay.
And I said, okay, I can do this.
Do this. Oh,
And
wow.
so I did. Yeah, this is my 12th year as a principal, I believe.
Real, and you're still smiling. So
And I'm still
that's
smiling. And, but I had a break, and I always say that, I
Mm,
had a break, for 5 years. I went back to the central office and was a leadership development coach, and I
really
started coaching new principals and aspiring principals, assistant.
nice. Okay.
And so 5, 6 years ago now, I came back to
Okay.
the principalship. So
Excellent.
that's how I got here.
Self-care, and it's and you know what you said that I thought is so critical for people to understand, seeing someone that looks like you. So I grew up in California, then we moved to Georgia when I was 15 and a half, right? I'll never forget it. And I stepped off the plane and everybody looked like me. I say, huh, I never knew you people existed. And when I tell you, I saw so many Mercedes Benz, I
Yes,
saw BMWs, and then you hear people saying what they do. They're the
yes,
CEO, they're the executive. I'm like,
absolutely.
what? Y'all do this, and then Doctor So and So,
Yes,
Doctor this, and I was like, wow. So it does reshape, who you are and what you
it
think
does.
and what you think that you can be, do, or have. And
Yes.
I think that's why being a principal, right? You have no idea how many lives you are shaping and how
And
many people you are transforming.
I was actually just thinking of that this week. We came
Mm,
back from the holiday break, and I was walking down the halls.
mm.
I don't know why this came over me, but I was thinking, I cannot name one of my principals that I
Really?
had. I cannot, and I tried. I was thinking,
Oh,
and I said, I vaguely remember one of them, a older white man, vaguely remember, but I
mm,
cannot remember his name. And I said, I do not want to be that for my students. I
wow.
want them to remember Principal Porter.
That is so, you know what? I never thought, I don't remember one of my prints, and I've been trying to go through my hair really quickly, and not one of them comes to mind.
I'm telling you.
Not one of them. That's interesting because that goes to impact. Now I can tell you
Yes.
some of my teachers, my third grade teacher, Miss Milligan,
Yes.
she told my mom in a teacher conference, like, Yvette's gonna make it because she has common sense. And I held on to that.
Wow.
I don't have nothing else. I got common sense. I'm like,
I
I don't
know
know.
it.
I might be getting a C, but I got common sense.
That's it.
And Mr. Feldman, fourth grade, I
Yes.
tell because as we can see where I am right now, I talk, right? I talk too much in class. I was the talker. I wasn't bad, I just talked. He
Yes.
took me outside and he said, "You're talking too much. You're a good kid, but you need to stop talking so much." And I cried. I'm like, "Oh my
Mhm.
God, I'm in trouble." I cried. 'Cause I was a good kid. I was like, "I
Yes.
don't get in trouble." I didn't go to the principal's office. He's like, I don't want to give you detention or anything like that, but you're talking too much.
Wow. I
And I
love
started
it.
talking, and then Coach Godfrey, English, he was a football coach.
Mm.
And when I tell you that was the best English teacher I've ever had,
Yeah.
that man would cuss like a sailor, but he knew that English.
Oh my
And it
goodness.
changed the way I thought about people that use different language, colorful language.
Yes.
Because if you just heard him, you're like, oh man, yeah, he ain't, he don't have much. But Coach Godfrey, when I tell you that man could write some poetry,
Wow.
Coach Godfrey could write some
I
poetry.
love it.
And the way he thought was so expansive.
Wow.
So going back to what you said, how you didn't remember any principles and you don't want to be that principal. What are you doing now in your school to be
Yeah.
memorable?
I'm really making relationships, and one thing that I did about 3 or 4 years ago, I said, "I've got to learn all of my students' names." And
Really?
so I would challenge myself because, of course, in the morning, I stand in the front and greet them as they come in, and so I want to greet them by name, instead of because they get 300 good mornings, right? But I wanna say, "Good morning, Isabella. Good morning." I want to be able to say, and it's so ironic because when for example, if I say 4 names and then someone come through the door and I don't know their name, and I say, "Good morning," "Do you know my name?"
No,
They will
ask that. Yes.
yes, and so it forces me to forge that relationship, and so,
Mm,
what I did because, of course, as an administrator, we know very well those individuals who cause havoc in the
Yeah.
school.
Mhm.
And those students who we don't get to see as often, we may not really forge a good relationship, right? And so I wanted to reverse that.
Okay.
And so I started doing the good phone call, the positive phone call home.
Nice.
And so, would just randomly call parents. The teachers would let me know
Mhm.
who's had a great week. And I would just randomly call parents, and they were so shocked. Because
Yes.
first of all, they get the call, they're like, what's going on? Like,
Yes.
this is a positive phone call home. And so
Amazing.
it allowed me to begin to know those students. And
Yeah.
so it sort of filled that gap for me. And
Ooh.
so that's the one thing, is just to build relationships. That's the first thing.
Mm.
And now, as they go, they're saying, "Bye, Principal Porter. Have a great weekend, Principal Porter." And I love that, right? I love that because I just don't have that memory of me in
Mm.
school interacting with my principal. And I'm talking from elementary to high school.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Right.
And I'm still trying to remember.
Right, I just didn't, and so I said, "I've got to make sure that I'm not that principal," and
Mm.
so just forging those relationships, connecting with them,
Mhm.
really talking, having conversation. I do lunch duty, so that's a great time because, it's all out, they're talking, they're eating,
Yeah.
that's an unstructured time, so I get in there, and, oh my goodness, when I got my braids, because for years, I never wore braids, right? Just and when I got my braids, oh my goodness, all my 5th grade girls, Principal Porter, and so it was relatable. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I look
Yes.
like them, they look like me. And so
Mhm.
I just love that. And so I really think the connections and the relationships that I'm making will have that impact. I have middle school students, because I am principal of elementary, that still
Okay.
come back now,
Wow.
just to say hello, and that's important to me, because you would see that with teachers all the time, but
Mm.
never the school administrator. So,
Wow. So do you think, and that's a beautiful vision, right? That just shows that you have a vision beyond the moment, but that
yes,
shows leadership, right? You're not just a manager, but you're a
yes.
leader because you're living out that vision. So how do you filter that down to your staff, to your assistant principals and your teachers? How do you do that?
Absolutely, and,
Yeah.
and that you model, and
Okay.
that's exactly, what I do, and I don't think really I think teachers have always had this piece of it,
Okay.
this lasting impact, you know what I mean?
Mm,
At least the good teachers, effective teachers, and even if they're stern,
mm.
students know that you care. They know your heart, and it's especially like I have one teacher that, like, you're not gonna get anything over her, but the kids love her, right? They
Mm.
love her because they know that she cares, and she's stern because she wants them to be the best that they can be. And so
That's
they're gonna remember that. They're gonna be talking about that when they're 20 and 30 years old.
wow. Even
So
46, Miss Sutherland, she was stern, but I
wow.
remember, but she was great, right?
Yes,
She was great.
exactly. So that's really, and when I work with my aspiring leaders, I make sure that I say that, because we
Mhm.
always say, you know, we like they have to know that you care.
Okay.
They have to, before anything, because if they don't think you care, they're not going to listen. They're not going to pay any attention to you.
Wow.
So and the care has to be genuine, because they know when it's not genuine. They
Mm.
know when it's not authentic. They know that.
Really?
Yeah.
So do you think the teachers and the APs at your school enjoy coming to school? And you think that makes it fun for the kids?
No, absolutely. And this is my 5th or 6th year at this particular school, because
Okay.
I've been a principal in probably 4 or 5 different schools in Maryland and North Carolina.
Okay.
And this, I think it's my 5th or 6th year. I'm not not really sure.
Mhm.
But statistics say that it takes 4 to 5 years to get everything how you want it as a building principal. And
Okay.
I can truly say that this is the year
Mm.
that everything comes together. The staff feels like a family.
Wow.
The student, and unfortunately, our school is closing this year,
What?
right,
Why?
because they built a brand new, beautiful school,
Really? Oh.
and the boundaries change, and so our school is very old, and people are sad, but excuse me. But what I always tell them is those students deserve a shiny, beautiful,
Yeah.
new
Mhm.
technology filled school.
Yeah,
Our
they do.
school is old. So
Mm,
I'm sad that we're leaving. The staff is sad
mm,
because again, they feel like we've now become a family.
wow.
I'm thinking about those young babies. They need to be proud of the building where
Yeah,
they are. And so it's so torn in the beginning when we found out. I said, our school is old.
yeah.
It's nice to be in a nice new building.
Nice new
So
building. It makes a difference. It's
it
like
does.
having a new car,
Yes.
the old car. The
Yes.
new car feels good. I don't care what kind it is.
That is, I don't
That
care what
new car
exactly.
feels really good,
Exactly.
and it's funny I'm saying that because as my children start to get ready to drive, I'm like, what am I gonna give them? Am I going to give them the affordable new car or the really affordable old car? And so like then what does that look like and how do they care for it? And then how do we go forward to build that so they can appreciate it, right? And they can value it because that's where it comes from. It comes from the value. How can
That's
we ensure that there's value there? So when you go to the new school,
So I will not.
really?
So the new school opened right after the Thanksgiving break.
Okay.
So two neighboring schools came together, an elementary and a middle school.
Okay.
They all moved over after the break. And then after this year, our students will go over. Most of our school students will go over. So
Really?
I will not be at the new school
Okay.
um, because they're already up and running, already have their principal.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so it is. But one thing about me, I embrace change and
Mm,
people, they feel like, oh, my teachers are like, where you going? Where you going? I want to go where you going.
mm,
And some of them don't believe me when I say I don't know. I have no idea because I'm not concerned. I'm not worried. I'm like, I'll land where I need to land.
mm.
Because I truly embrace change.
I like
I'm
that.
not afraid of change, and I feel like it's a new opportunity.
I like
Um,
that.
yeah, so
That's nice. And then that segues into something perfect because you're the editor in chief of Vision and Purpose. So
yes,
take us into that, the birth of that, and then how does that live in your life now?
yeah, March 2020, right before the pandemic, the magazine was launched,
Okay.
and it really started back for me in 2016, 17 when I first started publishing books and first started podcasting.
Really?
Um, I and I didn't grow up wanting to do this work, not wanting to be in this space of media and all of that.
Okay.
But when I started publishing book, I published my own book, but then I created a publishing firm and began publishing others. I
Mm,
wanted a space where I could recognize and celebrate those authors.
okay.
And so that's how my first podcast, Write the Book Now, was birthed.
Mm,
Um, I had my authors on talking about the process, talking about their book. Yeah, and then that one podcast led to another, and then I began to do Facebook Lives once that came on scene.
yes.
And this individual that had a studio, they had just built a studio, and he reached out and asked if I wanted a show
Mm,
in the studio, alive in studio. And I'm like, not really. I was really good. It took me a minute to do the Facebook Live because at first, when I was podcasting, it was truly the audio, it wasn't even the
yeah.
video. And I was like queen of that, right?
Exactly. Yes.
My face is now I can, and so I
Yes.
was very comfortable doing that, but uh quite uncomfortable moving to the video
Okay.
back then. But anyway, so I'm saying all that to say is that was part of the media. And
Mm,
so then the books, the podcast, the in studio shows, it just seems a natural transition was to then birth the magazine because it was an extension of all of those things. And
mhm.
so not only was I recognizing people through my podcast, through the books, but now writing articles in the magazine and getting a team of people together to do that. And so it has just developed a whole life of itself.
Mm,
And I absolutely love it. And I have my own studio now.
really?
I've been renting 2 or 3 for the past 5 or 6 years, but last summer I finally opened my own
Congratulations.
studio. And so It's my publishing office and my studio.
Nice.
We actually launched a Roku channel this summer, and
Yes.
so my shows are on Roku. And it's the Vision and Purpose channel, VP 106 1106. So it aligns with my magazine.
Mm.
And it just came because it was an extension of everything that I was already doing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is beautiful. So how do you develop a greater vision and purpose in this new year? Since it's been going for so long,
Yeah.
it's an extension. How do you cultivate that?
You know, a collaboration and networking.
Okay.
We cannot do this work alone. I don't care
Mhm.
what it is. Career, entrepreneurship, I don't care what it is.
Okay.
As they say, if your dream does not include other people, it's
Mm.
probably too small, right?
Okay.
Because you want these mega dreams that you need help to accomplish.
Wow.
And so
Mhm.
I feel like, and I'm a master networker. I feel like I am because I
Mhm.
love collaborating. I've
O
been burned with collaborating. And so I
okay.
always tell people to make sure you vet people. You just can't work with anyone,
Okay.
but that should not hinder you or should not block or stop you
Mm.
from collaborating. Because it really is a good thing. You just have to find the right fit
Okay.
for the people to partner with and work with.
That makes
And so that's really part of my 2024 is really stepping up my networking and my collaboration so that because I feel like we all can win. I am a
mm.
believer of that. I'm
Okay.
a believer of an abundance mindset that is enough for everyone,
Mm.
that there needs to be no gatekeeper,
Yes.
that we
Ooh.
all can help each other, regardless of us being in the same industry, and so yeah, I just believe that's my calling for vision and purpose in a general sense is
Okay.
to build that community with collaboration and networking.
I like that. And that's so powerful because I think especially it's like the older I get, right? The dog eat dog world,
Yes,
it grows. And you're the second person I heard say about the abundance mindset,
yeah,
that there's more than enough.
more
How
than enough.
do you find those people that believe that same thing? There's more than enough.
Absolutely. You know what? And when you begin, because you first have to reach out. And one thing
Mhm.
that I learned probably 3 or 4 years ago is that you cannot just remain with the people that you're familiar with, right?
Mm,
When you start a business, those are the people that you go to, your warm market, people that you know, and but there's no growth in that.
mm,
I've just learned that because, even with my shows, it's so funny. My mom, my brother, they used to support me, but they're not gonna do that with so many times, right? They're gonna like, okay, this is getting old.
it's enough. It's enough. We're good.
Exactly, and you can't blame them because it's not their vision, right? They're just supporting you. And
Yeah,
so you really have to be intentional. You
okay.
really have to make things that are engaging so that you can get a true audience and not just people supporting you because they know you. Because
Mm,
once you tap into that market of individuals who are there and you have no idea who they are, you have something.
you got
You now have something.
that
And
makes
so people have to not, and I'm a true introvert, like all the way
really to
introvert,
the heart, really.
all the way. And so
Mm,
it really took some coaching myself to
okay.
get out to network and meet people, talk to people.
Mm,
Um, it really did because I'm in business. And so it's not a hobby. I'm not trying to do a hobby.
mm,
So in order to make things happen, I've got to open my mouth. I have to meet people, talk to people.
oh,
And
wow.
when you develop a relationship with people, I'm really big with energy.
Mm,
And so I can feel, now I take the time. I don't rush into things.
okay.
Um to see, can I work with this
Mm,
individual?
okay.
And will it be fruitful for both of us?
Will it be fruitful? And that leads to something I think about in vulnerability, right? Part of it is being vulnerable enough to be open enough to know that this might not work out,
Yes.
but it might just really
It
work
might
out.
just work.
It might just really
Exactly.
work out.
Exactly.
Wow, I like that.
Exactly.
I like
Yeah.
that vulnerability. So we're almost at our time. I want to ask one more question.
Sure.
Because you're a doctor, and I think it's important for young scholars, young educators, aspiring leaders, right?
Mhm.
What made you go for the doctorate?
So you know what? And this story is so because I actually went I was in 2 programs because my first program I did not finish.
Okay.
I spent 6 years in a doctoral program and did not get a doctorate.
Really?
6 years of paying tuition
What?
and
Oh,
did not get a doctorate. And so, I speak on delayed is not denied because that was
mm,
truly my story.
wow.
I started out in 2006 in a doctoral program.
Okay.
And for most programs, you start out doing the coursework,
Hmm.
and then because that was a 3-year program, and then the third
Okay.
year you are working on your dissertation. That's how most programs work.
Hmm.
And so 2006, 2007, I knocked out the coursework.
Okay.
2008 came, my father passed.
Okay. Mm,
And that took me out.
okay.
It took me out. And
Mhm.
so from
So-
2008 to 2012, I was just spinning my wheels, paying
Okay.
tuition every semester, not writing, not doing anything.
Really? Okay.
And then 2012, I got a message from my advisor to say my time was up because apparently there's a 6-year
Mhm. Yeah.
period. Yeah, and they were saying, either you finish your doctorate or you have enough credits to get a specialist degree.
Okay.
And what are you going to do? And so I decided to get the specialist degree and just stop.
Okay.
So I did. And actually, during that time, I actually moved back to North Carolina
Okay.
for 2.5 years. And so at 2013, I came back to
Mm.
Maryland. And lo and behold, maybe a week or so after I got back, I was principal back in Maryland. I got an email from my school district saying that there was a cohort for a doctoral
Mhm.
program for 50% scholarship.
Really?
And there were room for, I think, like 12 people. One was at the University of Maryland, one was at Howard University.
Mm.
And it was like that email was for me.
Mhm.
I
Wow.
jumped at it. I
Mm.
jumped at the opportunity and was one of the individuals who got selected for the cohort. And
Wow.
so I went to Howard from 2014, graduated with my doctorate in 2017. Um,
Congratulations.
it was, and when I tell you, and I'm gonna tell you, it's so funny. My show, my in studio show, is called the I Am Dr. Sharon show. And what
Mm.
people don't know is that last year, that was my affirmation that I
Really?
had to say to myself every day that I am Dr. Sharon. I am Dr. Sharon. I
Mm.
said that so that I could get through that doctoral program.
Yes.
And so once it was time for me to do my show, that was the first thing that came to mind. And
Mm.
so I named my show the I Am Dr. Sharon show because that's the affirmation that got me through. And
That got
so,
you.
yes,
And you are Dr. Sharon.
I am Dr. Sharon.
Oh my God. That is a beautiful, beautiful story.
Yeah.
So what one nugget, right, would you leave with aspiring leaders that you wish you knew that you know now?
That is a very good question. I would probably say because starting out
Mm,
as an aspiring leader, um, I sort of left it up to where I was to like the space that I was in, the school that I was in, to help catapult me to the next level.
okay.
So I'm here to let aspiring leaders know that you don't have to limit yourself to the space of where you
Mhm.
are.
Yes.
That you can reach out to any leader. And I'm not even talking about in your district, right? Uh,
Mm,
the way the world is set up now, you
yes.
can have a wonderful mentor clear across the country, you
Yes.
know?
Yes,
And
yes.
so find that individual because I did not have that individual. I did
Really?
not have that individual as
Wow.
an aspiring leader, and which is why I started my aspiring leaders program. I know we didn't really have time to talk about it, but that's why I started that. My dissertation was on principal preparation and leadership development. I
Really,
actually created our Aspiring Principals program for my district based on my findings.
really.
And Coach Vet, when I tell you, I had so many assistant principals DMing me wanting to get into the program. And
Mm,
I was saying, it's for my school district, it's not, I was just, and I kept saying that for year after year. I did this for 5 years. And the last year, I decided to create my own Aspiring Principals program, which is what I have now. Um,
really.
and I mentor and coach assistant principals. I only take 5
Okay.
from across the country.
Mm,
And I started this in 2019 or so.
okay.
But when I tell you all of them are now principals,
Yes.
and that's why they made me do the next thing. They were like, "Well, are you gonna help new principals?" I was
Mm,
like, "Oh my God." And then the new principal roundtable was born. So now I have the next in line to lead Aspiring Principal Leadership Academy, and I also have the new principal roundtable.
wow.
And that was because all of my assistant principals became principals and wanted me to continue helping.
Wow.
And so I leadership development, and
Mm,
that's why I say, don't leave it up to just where you are to get
okay.
help.
Yes,
Don't
yes.
it's it's nice if your district have something for you, but even
Mhm.
if they do have something, that does not mean that you can't reach out to
Yes.
other individuals to get
Mm,
that support that you need. And
yeah.
so that's the one thing that I would say. Get
Mm,
support where you feel you need it.
exactly. Oh, that is powerful. We could talk forever.
I love it, yes.
Oh my goodness. You have to come back so you can tell us about that program.
Definitely.
Because
Okay,
I know there's
definitely.
so many leaders and principals and APs that want the help, that need the help, that don't
Absolutely.
have the help where they are, right?
Yes.
And not everyone has that niche to
Yes.
grow and develop other leaders. You can't fault people for
That's
what
right.
they aren't or don't aspire to be, right? So
That's
you said it
correct.
perfectly. Go find it, right?
Yes.
Well, and that's what I'm learning, Dr. Sharon. The world is huge.
It's
I was like so against social media. That's for those kids.
yeah.
But now, what? Oh, the
She
scroll.
said, "What?"
Like I'm like, there's a billion people out here. Like there's
Yes,
like the world is larger than my what I can see in my view, right? The territory is huge.
exactly.
Like I didn't even know you, right? It was through
That's
social
right, and I
media. And
listen,
like, oh my, I love Dr. Sharon. Like, oh my goodness.
I
And
love it.
so, yes, oh my, and thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for loving leaders. Thank you for loving the kiddos to call them by name. You got a
Yeah,
good memory because I would have called everybody baby and sweetheart. Like, so thank
exactly.
you because
Thank
it's
you.
it's leaders like you that help our young scholars grow and love what they do and where they are for the bulk of their day.
Yes.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness, this has been a great conversation. But thank you. Did you want to say any last or any closing thoughts as we wrap this up?
No, I thank you, and definitely, your viewers can follow me, connect with me on LinkedIn, Sharon Hargrove Porter, or on Instagram, I am Dr. Sharon.
I am Dr. Sharon. Oh, that's and I'm in my doctoral program right now, and I was crying like I got to go back on the 15th. I got to go back. So yes, and
Keep
I'm
at
gonna
it.
take that. I'm gonna take that to heart and
Yes.
keep that close to me until I walk across with that flappy hat. So that's what I want, that little hat.
That's
So
it.
thank you. Thank you so much for what you're doing. Thank you for continuing to keep going. We could have a whole nother conversation because I was on academic probation. They kicked me out. Like, so, oh my, we could have a whole conversation about that. So I understand. Like, oh my goodness, I get it. But thank you for pushing through. And thank you for being who you are to us now. So yeah, keep up the good work because it's people like me and the whole world that needs it. So yes, thank you so much. And to our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Coach Vet Jet. And as I always say, if you can't be anything, don't be ordinary, be legendary. If you don't know what to do or how to do it, be legendary. Don't be ordinary because you're great and you're awesome. But everyone, take care and have a great day. Bye for now.